Good morning. Welcome to the October 26th edition of Nasdaq Advisory Live. We're powered by Nasdaq IR Insight, and I'm your host, Will Briganti from Nasdaq. Joining me today as my guest is Josh Ellman. Josh is a retail and consumer industry analyst with Nasdaq Advisory Services. Josh, it's great to have you back on the program.
Thanks for having me again.
All right, so we're going to talk today about the current state of the consumer, some of the trends that we may be seeing with the holiday shopping season, and other industry highlights. Josh, let's kick off with the current state of the consumer. How is the consumer doing?
The consumer is actually in great shape. We've talked about the consumer over the last year or so,
Yep.
and he or she is in excellent position heading into the holiday season. We have an unemployment rate at 4.2%. Confidence is at 13-year highs. The stock market continues to hit record highs. Home prices continue to appreciate. The savings rate is moderate. And in the latest jobs report, we've actually seen some improvement in terms of wage growth, which was kind of an overhang on everything. So as we head into the holiday season, the consumer is in excellent shape and is positioned well.
Wow, that's great. That's a very bullish outlook. So you mentioned the holiday season. Obviously, we've got our Halloween holiday coming up next Tuesday. It seems like the holiday shopping season starts earlier and earlier in terms of all of the advertisements that are out there. But dig into some of the details for us. What will be some of the key trends this holiday season that we should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you brought up the holiday season and Halloween. This is the time of year where we start to hear some projections regarding the holiday season and the holiday forecast. So we've had a number of consulting firms come out with their predictions. And generally, the trend for the holiday season is that we're going to see holiday spending growth of anywhere between 3.5% to 4%. And that's the general consensus, but there are some outliers here and there. But at the end of the day, that's really the goalpost, if you will.
Sure.
In terms of the holiday season and how we're positioned, so we have actually one extra day on the calendar between Thanksgiving and Christmas versus last year.
Oh, is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and Christmas also falls on a Monday this year. So there's actually a weekend ahead of the final holiday, which will allow those procrastinators to get into the stores and get online to make their final purchases. So the calendar itself is looking great. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of excitement and optimism regarding the holiday season. In terms of kind of the newer trends or how things are changing, the calendar is getting earlier and earlier. We're seeing advertisements for the holiday season already.
Right.
Cyber Monday and Black Friday, while still very important to the retail space, is slowly but surely losing its allure.
Sure, of course.
And consumers in general are accustomed to getting great deals. So they're going to be very cognizant and on top of things this year.
Yeah, that sort of daily deal, sort of if you're subscribing to e-commerce sites, for example, or certain store sites, and you're getting daily emails with deals, the consumer certainly is used to seeing
the knowledge,
almost like a daily sales cycle,
Exactly. The knowledge that they have today is much greater than ever before.
And that's a really interesting point about that extra day, particularly since Christmas falls on a Monday. It's amazing how that extra day can be can be so meaningful to this industry. So my final question for you is, we talked a bit about the consumer and shopping trends in terms of the cyclical holiday season. But what's going on with the actual consumer and retail companies? In some of our discussions, you've mentioned that there's been some mergers and acquisitions, some restructuring. So what are some of the key highlights there that our viewers should be paying attention to?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at 2017, and it's kind of strange to say, but we're heading towards the end of the year already.
Yeah, already.
There's been a great increase in consolidation within the consumer discretionary world. We've had a number of transformative deals that have taken place during the year. We've had traditional brick and mortar retailers move more into the e-commerce space.
Right.
We had the largest e-commerce player out there in the marketplace move into traditional brick and mortar. So you're starting to see companies really align themselves to meet the consumer's needs and preferences more so today. That being said, we've also seen an uptick in M&A.
Yep.
We've had an increase in bankruptcies, and there's been quite a bit of store closures this year.
Sure.
So it's definitely been an exciting year from a consolidation standpoint in terms of the news flow. And I think for next year, we'll see more of the same when it comes to some of the industry consolidation. But you know, at the end of the day, the holiday season should be pretty good, pretty strong this year. So that's where everyone is focused on right now.
Awesome.
Outside of you know, upcoming third quarter earnings.
Great, Josh. Well, thank you so much. We'll leave it there. I appreciate your insight on the retail sector, and we look to have you back as we get a little closer to the actual holidays. So thanks so much again. And for all of our viewers, be sure to check out some of Josh's commentary that's been included in some media coverage out in the last couple of days from Business Insider, our partners over at Business Insider. Make sure to visit those stories for further intelligence from the Nasdaq Advisory Services team. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back to you next Tuesday with a special Halloween edition of Nasdaq Advisory Live. You can probably guess which stocks we'll be covering. Maybe FANG, right, from a vampire perspective. But we appreciate you tuning in. And for further information on Nasdaq Advisory Services and on Nasdaq IR Insight, be sure to visit our corporate website. That's at business.nasdaq.com. And you can always follow us and the rest of the team here on Twitter at MyCorpSolutions and at Nasdaq. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Will Briganti signing off for today.